A man sleeps with the one he can, but he becomes obsessively attached to the woman who awakens that one feeling in him. And no, it's not what you're thinking right now. Forget everything you believe you know about attraction. Forget magazines, your friends' advice, Hollywood movies. We're not talking here about some secret technique in bed, not about a flawless body or a symmetrical face, not even about being the most open and entertaining woman in the room. That's the beginner's game. Yes, it might catch some looks, but looks are cheap. They vanish faster than they appear. Today is about something much deeper, something invisible. It's about a switch in the brain, a neurological mechanism activated deep in a man's limbic system, a switch so powerful and ancient that it can, within seconds, distinguish between an ordinary encounter and a mental dependency. Have you ever wondered, why did the man who seemed so interested suddenly turn cold as ice? Why did you give everything? Were loving, attentive, brilliant in every way, and yet he chose someone else? Or the hardest question of all, why do some women, without much effort and without perfection, manage to trigger an almost irrational loyalty in men, while you feel like you have to fight for every ounce of attention? The answer lies not in what you do, but in what you trigger in him. The real question is not, what can I do to make a man physically desire me? Physical desire is a basic instinct, easy to ignite. The real life-changing question is, what can you do so that he can't get you out of his head? What is this mental, invisible and silent drug that separates women who are liked from women who are unforgettable? What I'm about to reveal to you in the next few minutes is not a seduction trick. It's a secret of male psychology, confirmed by neuroscience and evolutionary biology. A concept that, once you understand it, gives you tremendous power, because the male body always follows the mind. And his mind, believe me, is not looking for what everyone else is offering. He's looking for something much rarer, something you probably already carry within you, but don't yet know how to use. Stay with me, and I promise you, you will never look at attraction the same way again. We are facing a paradoxical puzzle that occupies many women. On the one hand, pop culture tells us that we need a whole catalogue of traits to attract a man: beauty, a toned body, charm, good sex. The list seems endless, and it forces us to become a perfect product. That's why many women try hard, investing time, energy and emotions to meet that ideal. But then in real life, something happens that makes no sense. We see seemingly perfect relationships break apart. Men lose interest in women who, on paper, are a perfect 10. And at the same time, we see women who do not match that ideal, yet inspire devotion and desire that turns into obsession. Why? Because we've been trying to open the wrong door. For decades, our focus has been on the door of physical attraction, the body, the visible. And we have completely overlooked the existence of another door, a door that is much more important and much better guarded, the door to the male mind. And that's exactly where the key to everything lies. The difference between one night and a lifelong bond, between the woman who is an option and the woman who is a priority, between the woman who is one of many and the woman who is the only one, all of that is decided not in bed. It is decided on the quiet, invisible battlefield of his mind. In his brain, there is a filter, an extremely selective gatekeeper. This gatekeeper receives all experiences and interactions with you and makes a brutal, binary decision. He decides whether the experience is interchangeable, something pleasant but fleeting, stored in short-term memory and forgotten, or whether it contains a special element, a catalyst, that marks it as decisive. When that happens, the experience passes through the filter, becomes anchored in long-term memory, and more importantly, it activates the centers for deep desire and reward. The problem is that most known seduction strategies only try to satisfy this gatekeeper temporarily, for one night, but they have no idea how to give him that secret ingredient that opens the main door. That's why this subject is so important, because when you understand it, you free yourself from the exhausting race for outer perfection. You no longer have to twist yourself or be someone else. Instead, you can direct your energy to where it really makes a difference, to a connection that lasts. What we are revealing here is the nature of this catalyst, the chemical composition of this mental drug. I will explain exactly what it is, why the male brain responds to it biologically, and above all, how you can start producing it naturally, without games, without tricks, and without losing yourself. This is my promise. If you stay, you will not only learn a new word or concept, you will understand the operating system of male desire, on a level that 99% of people completely ignore. And this knowledge is power, the power to truly touch. So what is this mental drug? What is this secret ingredient that breaks through all of a man's defenses and settles directly in his innermost control center? The answer is a single word, and probably not the one you expect. It is not passion, it is not mystery, it is not beauty. The word is admiration. I know what you might be thinking now. Admiration sounds a bit cold, not exactly sexy. It seems more like something you feel for a mentor or boss, not for a partner. And it is exactly in this misunderstanding that its secret power lies. To understand why admiration is the fuel for the deepest male desire, we need to take a brief look inside his mind, into his most basic programming. From an evolutionary and psychological perspective, a man is wired to seek, to fight, and to conquer, not only physically, but also in terms of status, hierarchy, and life purpose. He has a deep, innate need to feel competent, good at what he does, to create something, and to protect. Physical attraction is only the first step, a spark. He sees you, and his instinct shouts, "I want her." It is a desire to possess, one-sided but superficial, and it can disappear just as quickly as it appeared. Admiration, on the other hand, changes everything. In the moment, a man admires you for something beyond your appearance, your intelligence, the passion with which you speak about your work, your integrity, your wit, the calm with which you handle a crisis, or your dedication to a hobby he's not even interested in. Something happens on a chemical level. His desire shifts from "I want her" to "Am I good enough for her?" Suddenly, the balance of power changes. He is no longer the hunter pursuing prey. Now he is facing a woman who has her own realm, her own value, her own light. You are no longer merely desired, you become an inspiration. And that feeling is incredibly powerful for a man. It is the difference between "I want to sleep with her" and "I want to be able to stand by her side." Think about it. Physical desire wants to possess. Admiration wants to merge. He doesn't just want to have you, he wants to understand you, to learn from you, to take some of your magic into himself. That doesn't mean you have to be a CEO or a NASA scientist. Admiration has nothing to do with monumental achievements. It's about authenticity and passion. It's the glow in your eyes when you talk about books that have changed your life. It's the conviction with which you express your opinion at dinner, even if everyone else disagrees. It's the moment when he laughs because you are intensely focused on trying to assemble a piece of furniture, frustrated but determined. In these moments, he doesn't just see an attractive woman, he sees a fascinating, independent person, and his archaic brain, thirsty for challenge and meaning, kicks in. Attraction suddenly stops being a game, it becomes a mission. But here arises the real dilemma, the trap we almost all fall into. If admiration is such a powerful driver of male desire, why does society and our own fears make us do exactly the opposite? Why are we taught to make ourselves smaller, to not shine too brightly so as not to scare off men? And it is in this contradiction that attraction dies, because we are faced with an uncomfortable truth. The strongest driver of male attraction is admiration. But right next to this truth lives a huge destructive myth. A myth whispered to us since childhood, one we've seen in thousands of movies and eventually accepted as universal truth. It goes, don't be too smart, don't be too successful, don't be too independent, because otherwise you'll scare men away and end up alone. Does that sound familiar? It is one of the most paralyzing lies told to generations of women, and it traps us. In order to be desirable, you must stop being admirable. But here comes the twist. This myth is not entirely false, but it is fatally misinterpreted. And in this false interpretation, we sabotage ourselves. The truth is, a man of real value is not afraid of your strength. He only withdraws if you treat him like an opponent. He doesn't fear your intelligence. He feels drained if you use it like a weapon against him. Your success does not scare him, but if you use it to belittle his, he will lose interest. Think of it this way. Male energy is naturally oriented toward competition, problem solving, and progress. When a man approaches you on a romantic level, he seeks polarity, a feminine energy that complements his, not fights it. If, however, a woman in trying to prove her worth goes into combat mode, arguing to win, constantly correcting, undermining his opinion, competing over who is smarter or more successful, then he no longer sees her as a potential partner, but as a rival. And sexual polarity, that magnetic spark between masculinity and femininity, dies instantly. Let me tell you a short story. Take Sophia. Sophia is a brilliant woman, a successful executive, educated, independent, and she constantly complains that men can't handle successful women. On her dates, she talks at length about her achievements, her travels, her bonuses. If her date talks about an achievement at work, she immediately counters with one of her own, twice as big. If he expresses a political opinion, she dismantles it with arguments until he is left speechless. Sophia thinks she is showing her worth, presenting herself as an admirable woman. But men leave these dates not thinking, wow, what an amazing woman, but feeling, that was exhausting, like a job interview I didn't apply for. Or worse, like a court trial. Men are not intimidated by your success. They feel judged, evaluated, and ultimately unnecessary. But what happened later in Sophia's life is even more revealing. She met a man who kept up with her pace, or rather, settled comfortably into it. A passive man without ambition, who felt comfortable in Sophia's shadow. And over time, she lost all respect and attraction for him. Because the moment he dialed down his own masculine energy just to stay with her, he stopped being the man she could admire. He became the living proof of her own trap. Let's think about Laura, equally successful, equally smart, but with a different energy. When she talks about her successes, she does so with a passion that inspires, not with arrogance. And above all, she is genuinely interested in his world. She asks about his challenges, his passions, listens. She doesn't see him as competition, but as a fascinating universe. Her confidence doesn't dim another's light in order to shine. Her strength is warm, magnetic, an invitation. Men don't run from Laura. They line up to be part of her world. Because she doesn't make them smaller, she inspires them to become bigger. This destroys the myth that you have to make yourself small. Never. But here, the dilemma becomes more complex. What if you are like Laura, strong, warm, and he still feels insecure? Is that your fault? Should you dim your light to protect his insecurity? Here is where everything explodes. We are at the point of no return. You have done everything right. Strong yet gentle, smart but not condescending. Your own realm with an open door. And still, in his gaze, in his silence, in his cutting remarks, you sense that your strength bothers him. Your success makes him feel small. The crucial question: should you make yourself smaller to fit into his world? Dim your light so his insecurity is less visible? The answer? A clear, uncompromising no. Never. And this is not an empty slogan, Sambha. It is the most important strategic insight for your choice of partner. Because exactly at the moment you try to shrink yourself for him, you are not in a crisis, but you are facing the best filter to distinguish a valuable man from a frightened boy in the body of an adult. A low-value man feels in the light of a strong woman like a vampire at sunrise. Your light doesn't inspire him. It burns. It illuminates his fears, his insecurity, his lack of ambition. And then he has two options: grow or pull you into the darkness. He will try to dim your light with jokes, doubts, guilt, by calling you intimidating or too intense. When a man does that, he's handing you his resignation. He's showing you, I'm not the right one, and you should thank him and leave. But a high-value man, a true man, reacts to your light with fascination. Your success motivates him. Your intelligence excites him. Your independence attracts him like a magnet. To him, you are not a threat. You are an honorable challenge. The summit a mountaineer wants to climb. The work of art a connoisseur wants to understand. Here lies the deepest secret of male desire. Not the sight of a naked woman, that's animalistic. Simple, rather. A woman, fully clothed, in her element, burning with passion, absorbed in her world. And he quietly thinks, my God, I want to be worthy to stand by her side. Not, I want to have her. Not, I want to get her into bed. But, I want to become better because of her. Then it's no longer just about you. It's about who he wants to become, to be close to you. This is the strongest drug in the world. He's not addicted to you, but to the best version of himself that you awaken in him. You are the lighthouse. You repel the wrong ones and attract the right ones. How do you apply this in everyday life? Not through tactics, but through a radical change of direction. Stop asking, what does he like? Ask yourself, what ignites me? Forget for a moment about men, dates, attraction. Instead, ask yourself these questions, quietly, just for you. What topic makes you talk so much you almost lose your breath? What activity engages you so much that you don't look at your phone for hours? What injustice in the world ignites a fire in your belly? What unpopular opinion would you defend with passion and clear arguments? What is your nerd side? That one strange obsession, maybe ancient Roman history, specialty coffee, or the films of a Korean director that you usually keep to yourself because you think no one cares? That is where your gold lies. These are the ingredients of the mental drug we talked about. Your task is not to invent something, but to rediscover, unearth, and be proud of what's already within you. The second step is to understand that it's not about informing, but about transmitting. You don't go on a date to recite your resume. Hi, I like climbing, Stoic philosophy, and art house films. That's a report. Boring. It's about making your passion felt. If you're talking about films, say, that one scene completely fascinated me because of the lighting. Look how the director did it. Or suggest a meeting yourself. Hey, there's an antiquarian book market in the city on Saturday. Want to go? I love the smell of old books. It's about letting your energy fill the room. You don't have to wonder if he likes books. What will fascinate him is your enthusiasm for them. So what should you avoid from now on? Stop suppressing your honest opinion just to avoid conflict, pretending you love football when you're bored to death, playing the helpless girl so he can save you. Becoming his personal cheerleader while your own dreams gather dust. And what should you start doing? Fiercely defend your time for your projects and hobbies. Stop constantly sacrificing your social life for him. Don't be afraid of discussions. I disagree. I see it this way. Show your path, with setbacks included. I'm trying to learn programming right now. Nothing worked today, but tomorrow I'll try again. Be the main character in your own movie. He can be a great co-star, but never the director. I know this path is scary, because it guarantees one thing: some men will leave. Maybe men you feel physically attracted to. They'll feel intimidated or simply won't connect. But you must understand, this is not failure. It's a clear victory of your new filter. Every man who leaves because your light is too bright saves you months or years with the wrong one. And above all, he makes space for the right one, for the one who can not only stay, but who actively seeks exactly that. The ingredients for this admiration drug are not found in a lingerie shop, but in your bookshelf. In conversation with a friend who challenges you, in the business plan lying in your drawer. On your next solo trip, start tending your garden, not to attract butterflies, but so that it becomes so spectacular that only the best butterflies can't resist coming by. We've come a long way together. We've debunked the myth of intimidation. We've discovered the nuclear power of admiration. I've shown you how to tend your own garden and become the woman who works like a living filter. But if you think this is just a strategy to attract men, you're missing 90% of the treasure. You're missing the true core of this journey. Because at the end of the day, it was never really about him, it was about you. It was always about you. We've spent our lives turning our heads sideways, outward, seeking validation, seeking approval. We've learned to ask, am I pretty enough for him? Interesting enough, good enough? And we've shaped ourselves, our personalities, our bodies to get a yes as an answer. But the path we've opened today is a revolution. It's the moment to turn your head 180 degrees, and finally look inward. It's to stop asking whether you're good enough for him and start asking, is the life I'm living good enough for me? Imagine your life is a campfire. For a long time, we've been told to go through life with a small, flickering flame and desperately look for someone to bring us wood so our fire doesn't go out. It was a laborious, dependent search. The approach we saw today is radically different. It's about stopping the search. It's about sitting down, alone if necessary, and focusing all your energy, all your attention on lighting your own fire. Gathering your own wood, your passions, your knowledge, your skills, your friendships, and building it layer by layer until your fire is so big, so hot, and so bright that it's visible from miles away. People are not drawn to a small flicker struggling to survive. People are irresistibly drawn to the warm, powerful glow of a blazing fire. Being admirable is not a show for a date. It's the natural consequence of respecting yourself. When you value your time, your opinion, your passion, and your body, you send a silent but strong message. This is how you will be treated. And here comes the true beauty of this philosophy, and the reason why it is infallible. Think carefully about it. When you start living like this, there are only two possible scenarios. Scenario 1, a great man, a man of true value, sees your fire from afar. He feels drawn to it. He doesn't come to control it, but brings his own wood, sits with you, and enjoys the warmth. Together you make the fire even bigger. This is a relationship based on mutual respect and genuine admiration, the ideal scenario. Scenario 2, you build your fire. A month passes, 6 months, a year, and you're alone. Is that a failure? Quite the opposite. You are a woman who knows more, has experienced more, is stronger, happier, and more interesting than a year ago. You are so deeply in love with your own life, with your own fire, that the arrival of a man is a beautiful bonus, but never again a desperate necessity. Because the deepest form of attraction, the one that creates legends, has nothing to do with turning yourself into the woman he wants. It's about being so complete, so raw, and so radiantly alive in your own skin that it's an absolute privilege for him to stand by your side and warm himself by your fire. So there is the fire, and there is the decision. A decision you must make not only today, but every day, every morning when you wake up, every time you meet someone new, every time a conversation gets deeper. Before you lie two paths. Path 1 is the old, wide, well-trodden one. The path of adapting. The path where you smooth your edges so as not to offend. The path where you laugh at jokes that don't amuse you. The path where you nod even though inside you're screaming no. The path of turning yourself into a watered-down, pleasing version of yourself, hoping that someone will choose you. It's the path of seeking validation. And then there is the second path, the one we explored today. Narrower, steeper, sometimes lonelier. The path where you build yourself, stone by stone. The decision to read this book instead of watching the trendy series. To start that finance course even if your friends don't understand. To voice an opinion even if your voice shakes. It's the path of embracing your uniqueness, of falling in love with your own mind, of becoming a woman who doesn't wait to be chosen, but chooses for herself with whom she shares her time and energy. It's the path of self-respect. In the end, it all comes down to one question, not one you ask him, but yourself. If a man who was once in your life thinks of you years later in silence, what should he remember? A pretty face, a nice body, a nice girl who agreed to everything? Those are memories to throw away, like steam on a mirror. Interchangeable, forgettable. Or do you want his heart to race when he remembers your burning eyes as you spoke about justice? For him to smile at the memory of your loud, honest laugh? For him to feel transported back to a moment when he sensed you had your own gravitational center, an inner world so fascinating that it was a gift to be allowed even a glimpse inside, if only for a moment. That's why my call to you is this. Next time you're getting ready and looking in the mirror, forget the question, how can I look more attractive? Instead, ask yourself a far more powerful one. How can I be a little more myself today? Don't try to be the most beautiful in the room. That's a never-ending competition that drains you. Be the most interesting, because beauty captures the eye, but admiration captures the mind. Today we learned the key to attraction is admiration. But once you've won his mind, how do you translate that connection into body language without breaking the magic? A kiss is not just a kiss. It is the seal of an inner pact. I'm about to show you how to give the kiss that makes him tremble. Not a technique, but a single, silent expression of everything we've understood today. And if this journey into male psychology has touched you, and you don't want to miss a single piece of the puzzle, then subscribe and turn on the bell.